Short exercise 18-9. We're going to create a cost of goods manufactured. Use the following inventory data for Caddy Golf Company to compute the cost of goods manufactured for the year. So before we can do this problem, we need to be really familiar with the workflow for a manufacturer. So this is a slide from our PowerPoint showing how the costs flow from left to right for a manufacturer. Specifically, this is showing the workflow for a company that builds guitars. So they first order raw materials such as wood, guitar strings, and glue, and that increases the raw materials inventory account. And then once a guitar is started, they're going to take some raw materials out of raw materials inventory and put it inside the work in process T account, which is showing the guitars that are in the process of being built. So in this example, $8,000 of direct materials have been taken out of raw materials, and they're in the process of being used to build guitars. And other costs that are in the work in process, the WIP inventory account, include DL, which is direct labor, and MOH, which is manufacturing overhead. And then when the guitars are finished, we lower the work in process inventory account because they're no longer in process. And in this case, $7,000 of guitars, that's our cost, have been removed from the work in process inventory and are now in our finished goods inventory, like our warehouse or on the shelves of the store. And the cost of the guitars that were finished, in other words, the cost of goods manufactured, that's past tense, manufactured, are represented by the $7,000 taken out of work in process and put on the shelves or the warehouse. So this down here is the T account method that most students can understand. The plus side, the account is going up. The minus side, the account is going down, like a direct material is being taken out of the warehouse and put into guitars that are in process. Up here, we're showing just the formula method for the same thing. So here's raw material, work in process, finished goods, finished goods. So we need to understand these three formulas, 1, 2, 3, really well for this chapter and future chapters. So once you understand these formulas, which correspond with what's going on down here in these T accounts, you can then do a problem like this in which we're going to create a schedule of cost of goods manufactured. And then also from our PowerPoints, here's a slide showing the schedule of cost of goods manufactured. So what we have here up above is the same formulas that we had from the previous slide: raw materials, work in process, finished goods. So the schedule of cost of goods manufactured is just this work in process broken out along with the raw materials inventory appearing right here. Oops, I forgot to explain the rest of this. So notice we start with beginning inventory of work in process right here. And then we add direct materials used. How do we calculate direct materials used? It's beginning raw materials inventory. In other words, it's this info here. Beginning inventory of raw materials plus purchases and any shipping costs to get the raw materials to our place of business. And that gives us the direct materials available for use. We subtract the ending inventory, and that gives us the amount of materials used. We slide that over here, and that's our direct materials used. Then we add in direct labor, and then our manufacturing overhead, and that gives us our total costs to account for. And then we subtract ending work in process inventory, what's left in the T account, and then that gives us our cost of goods manufactured. And then one more thing. Sometimes this manufacturing overhead, this part, it's sometimes broken out into more detail. Like here, they show indirect materials, indirect labor, depreciation on the plant and equipment, and plant utilities, insurance, and property taxes. So this is optional. Some companies will break this out. Some companies just leave it in one line like this. So we're going to recreate this in this problem, except we're not going to break out this detail for direct materials used, and we will not break out manufacturing overhead. So we're going to try to keep it simple. So let's use this as a guide. So remember, we're recreating this and this. This is the formal way to show the schedule, and this is just the informal way to show the formula. So we're going to start with beginning inventory of work in process. Beginning work in process inventory. So let's find that over here. Beginning balance, 1,000. Next, we have our direct materials used. And remember, we're not going to break it out using this method. We're not going to break it out using all this detail. We're just going to show direct materials used right here. Copy and paste. Next, we have direct labor. Direct labor is 9,000. And next we have manufacturing overhead, which is right here, but this is where the detail is broken out. We don't have all those details in this one. We just have manufacturing overhead right here, 21,000. Copy and paste. So we're going to take 12,000 plus 9,000 plus 21,000 gives us 42,000. And they call that manufacturing costs incurred during the year. So in other words, our manufacturing costs are direct materials used, direct labor, and then manufacturing overhead. We add that, the costs incurred, with the beginning work in process, and that gives us our total manufacturing costs to account for, 43,000. And I screwed that comma up. Remember, you don't have to put in the comma. I don't recommend them unless it makes it easier for you to read. And then the last thing we do is we subtract our ending work in process. So we had 43,000 to account for. Our ending inventory and work in process, here we go, 5,000. Ending work in process inventory. So we had $43,000 of cost to account for. We ended up with only 5. That means the difference must be the amount that we manufactured, which is 38,000. So this is the cost of the goods that were manufactured in this time period. So if we had just, let's see, what are we building? Golf. Looks like we're building golf equipment. So the golf equipment that we manufactured during this period cost $38,000. So hopefully whatever we're going to charge for it, it's got to be more than $38,000, otherwise we're not profitable. And that's it.